2013 is finally behind us and out the door, and it went out with a shiver. Weather, just one of the many highlights in 2013. It was the year where winter never wanted to end. We went pretty much from winter to a very brief spring into summer, and once December hit, boy, winter sure came back with a vengeance. 2013 to me is going to be remembered as one of the colder years we've had recently here in the Lakes area. But we had a lot of other highlights and stories to talk about in 2013 as well. Unfortunately, 2013 for me is going to be remembered as the year we had way too many homicides here in Becker County. It started shortly after the first of the year on January 29th. That's when law enforcement officials were called to the Country Manor mobile home park here in Detroit Lakes, where 23-year-old Travis Buckanaga was shot and killed. A man named 38-year-old Ronald Casino was charged and convicted of that homicide and is currently serving 34.5 years in prison for that conviction. But just a few months after that January incident, on April 10th, downtown Detroit Lakes was shut down temporarily, and that was because we had, tragically, our second homicide of the year in the Lakes area. This one, the victim was 69-year-old Geraldine Kading, excuse me. She was allegedly shot by 56-year-old David Lee Stensrud. His Stensrud has a court hearing on February 20th and is yet to go to trial. And that particular case, it'll be something obviously we'll be following here in 2014. And then just as the year ended on December 30th, law enforcement and firefighters were called to a structure fire in the Ponsford area in eastern Becker County. That's where Charles Jones Sr., age 48, was arrested for a suspicion of setting the fire, which resulted in the death of 35-year-old Shalonda Clark. Of course, charges are just now being filed in that case, and in 2014 will be another one we'll be following. But on a much better and much happier note, 2013 is going to be remembered as the year that the Detroit Mountain Project started its comeback. The public fundraising campaign began in July, and to date, they're only a couple $100,000 short of their goal. $7 million was the grand total. They're very close to getting there. By this time next year, we'll probably be skiing down Detroit Mountain, at least if things keep going to plan. So that's a huge upswing, I think, for the Lakes area. 2013 will be the year that it remembered. It really started. 2014, maybe we'll talk about the year it opened. Also, here in the Lakes area, a no vote to a $59 million school building bond project. That was one of the big stories as well. In fact, on January 22nd, the school district will meet with people again to try to hear, especially from the no voters, about what they disliked most about the plan to see if they can revamp it to try to pass it again. That's one to stay tuned to as well, but the first vote was held this year. The wider tribal constitution approved a brand new constitution, effectively breaking away from the other Chippewa tribes. Now, this is still a little bit murky, and we'll have to see how it progresses in 2014, but it's a huge statement by the tribe and a push for independence from the rest of its Ojibwa neighbors. Also, Detroit Lakes was rocked by credit card and debit card fraud. Over 250 victims in the city's liquor store was found out to be the source of the leak. The leak has since been plugged and corrected, and law enforcement continues its investigation, and we'll have to stay tuned in 2014 to see if anything comes of this. But if anything, it showed us how vulnerable we are in this technology-laden society, and it can happen to anyone, not just the liquor store. Just ask Target Corporation about how vulnerable your security systems can be. Some other, I think, positive things to mention: the Washington Park upgrades, the city playground equipment down there at the lake by the pavilion, excellent upgrades to that. Also, the opening of the Compassion House homeless men's shelter in Detroit Lakes occurred in 2013. The Frazee design team came to the city of Frazee in September to try to help them revamp, and there was the push for trails. There's a lot of capital investment committees and so forth in the Lakes area, as 2014 will be a big bonding year. 2013 was a time to show them and push for that. A lot's going to come in the next year. I'll be excited to see it come with you and experiencing it with you, and we'll see what it makes next year's wrap.